about energy. You saw a lot of speakers today that have a lot of energy. She is just dynamic. She was actually a volunteer champion with the volunteer champion event we had back in May that the newspaper promoted. So she has, we forget, you know, and I'm the same way at home. I might answer the phone and I'm just too honest with giving information. So she's going to give you some pointers because there's a lot of people out there that consider Green Valley a honeypot, and we don't want you to get taken advantage of or exploited. You know, you have a right to your security and your safety, and she's here to talk to you about common scams and what you can do. So without any further ado, here's Lou Sampson.
Maybe you don't know, but the Green Valley Sheriff's Auxiliary Volunteers has been around for 30 years now. This is our 30th anniversary. We now have 144 volunteers, and we donated over 75,000 hours to this community last year. So that's a lot of time. And I just want to tell you a few brief things that we do. One of them, you probably all know that we do house checks. So when you take off for the winter or for a 2-week vacation, you can give us a call, and we will come and we will check the perimeter of your house. We check for open windows, open doors, and you would be surprised what we find because we come the day after you tell us you're going to leave. You know, we found a suitcase one time on a sidewalk, so somebody was getting out of town in a hurry. But also, you need to call us when you come back, because when we go on patrol and we check houses, if we find an open door, we are not allowed to go in there. We call the deputies. And they come with their guns out, and their guns are loaded. And I was on patrol 2 weeks ago, and we found an open slider door. And 2 deputies showed up, and they went inside, and the lady was in the shower. Hello, so please give us a call when you come back. We also are bailiff in the Justice Court. So if you want to see what goes on in the court around here, maybe see what your neighbors are up to. You never know who's showing up. We also do fingerprinting, so that's another activity service that we do for this community. Also, we have a bike patrol. If any of you are bikers, we really have a good bike patrol. And the best thing is they put their bikes on a car and take it up the hill. So you just have to drive around the even spaces. We also have an Alzheimer's unit. So if you know somebody that has a spouse or is involved with someone that has Alzheimer's, we like to come into your house, take a photo, get all kinds of information about them, what kind of medications they're on, if they wandered, where they would wander. And we take that and we make a big blow-up of it and we put it in the sergeant's file. And no one is allowed to see that. It is all secure. But if that person comes up as missing, the sergeant can go to that file, he can take out that, he can copy it for anybody that's on the search and rescue team. And we just found somebody about 2 weeks ago, so it's a really nice service for people in our community. We also do special events. Maybe you've seen us at the White Elephant Parade, doing traffic. I just love that. I had no idea I was such a control freak until they put a vest on me and they gave me a whistle and some white gloves. And then they stuck me out in the middle of the road and I went, "You stop!" And they do. And I thank you. It's like dark chocolate for me. We also help the deputies if there's an accident, because this is a big area that we have very few deputies covering. And if there's an accident in Green Valley, we are able to go and we are able to do traffic control so that another deputy might be called off onto another job. So that's another thing that we do. When I first started SAV, I was working in the neighborhood watch. And that's when I first started noticing that, my gosh, identity theft. A lot of identity theft was going on. But we did have information on identity theft. But then there was these scams. People call it, grandma, and what do you do with those? So I would look in magazines and I would cut out articles and I would copy them, and that's about the only thing I could do. And then we received a gift from the Dr. Scholl's Foundation. And with that gift, we were tasked to come up with a new program, something new. We couldn't use that money for fuel, for maintenance, for office. It had to be something new. So what we did is we got 5 of our really talented, creative people, and we put them in a room, and we said, you're not coming out until you come up with something. And so what they came up with was hang up, delete, shred. And I want you to know it's a very, very simple program and very effective. The trouble is it's not easy to do. It's not easy to hang up on somebody because we're really nice people. And what we did is we made up these flyers that I hope you've all picked one up at our table out there. But we made up these flyers and we took them around town. And we took them to merchants, and we took them to the bank, because that's where people go for their money. And we took them to Safeway, because they sell money orders and they wire money. We took them to the post office, because they sell money orders. We let Walmart know, because that's where they wire money out. So we took it around town, and we really tried to be proactive about getting the word out. Just hang it up, delete it, or shred it. Well, and then we hit a plateau, and we didn't know what else to do because we kind of covered all the merchants in town. And after about 5 or 6 months, a friend of mine, we were at a meeting, and she came up to me and she said, oh, Lou, she said, I am so frightened because, she said, my husband keeps getting these telephone calls, and I'm really worried because he's the only one that's ever taken care of our money. He's in control of all the bank accounts, he is in control of the checking account, and she said, I'm just afraid he's going to give them this information and we're going to just be wiped out. And she said, we called the SAP and they came down and they took a report, but he's still getting these phone calls. And I said, let me try something. I'm going to go home and put on my uniform and get a patrol car, and I'm going to come to your house and we're going to try something new. And she said, okay. So what I did is I took these 2 pieces of information that are out on that table, I hope you picked up, and I took them to her. And I sat there probably 20, 25 minutes, and I was looking him right in the eye, and I'll tell you what, he was absolutely convinced that a truck was going to pull up in front of his house and give him $450,000 in cash. He was just absolutely convinced. Now this guy was an engineer, over 250 people managed. So he's not stupid, but he was just convinced. And every time he had an argument, he said, but they know where CVS is on Continental. And I said, Google Map. So every time he had a question, I had an answer. And I said, this is what I'd like you to do. I could almost see the light turn on in his head, like he was getting it. And I said, this is what I'd like you to do. I'd like you to take this piece of paper and you put it right by that telephone or by that computer, wherever these people are. You put this right there. And every time they call, you just remember, hang it up. On the computer, delete it, And so that's what he did. And about 2 weeks later, I was talking to her and I said, well, how's it going? And she said, oh my gosh, Lou, I can't believe the difference. She said, the phone calls have diminished. They're almost to nothing. And she said, I was in his office the other day, and I was cleaning it up, shuffling papers, stacking papers. And I was stacking papers, and I took that information you gave him, and I was stacking some papers on top of it. He said, no, you leave that right there, right on top, where I can see it. And I thought, yippee, this is going to work. And that's when the Scam Squad was born. There you go. That's the timing. Okay, there. And it was very simple. What we did is when we go out on patrol and we take reports, we spent the extra time to go inside to talk to somebody. We give them this extra scam material, and we go in a patrol car. We purposely go in the patrol car because we want the neighbors looking. And maybe the neighbors will see that patrol car and say, oh, gee, what's going on? Maybe they're nosy, maybe they're gossipy, maybe they're really concerned. And maybe when that patrol car leaves, they'll come over and say, is everything okay over here? And you can share that information with them, because we cannot possibly get to every home in Green Valley. So we're counting on our citizens to share this information and get it out into the community. Also, we've been very lucky with the Green Valley News, because they have allowed us to write an article in that paper. The editor was getting so many emails and so many calls about scams. You've got to put this in the paper right now. People are losing money. Da, 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 da. He was really happy when we came up with this program, because now he shoots us all of those people. And so we can educate our citizens through the newspaper. We also are on the radio once a month. So we're just getting great support from our community.